Hey guys, how you doing? It's 8-Bit Eric. Today we're going to talk about Assassin Creed Valhalla. Now, I got the Xbox Series X version to check out because when I got my Xbox earlier this week, this was the game that attracted my attention the most. Now, I'm going to be honest. As far as Assassin's Creed games go, I never really played much of them. I just really couldn't get into them. There was just something about them that I was just disinterested in. I tried my hardest to get into Black Flag when it came out on the Wii U. I played 1 and 2 back in the day at a friend's house, and I'm sure if I would have sat down and quenched, some time into the games, I would have enjoyed them a lot more. And I don't know, I just kind of stayed away from them. But then a couple years ago, I saw Mike Matei play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it looked pretty good. In fact, I noticed that it had a lot more RPG elements, a lot more open world elements, exploration, and stuff like that. And I'm a sucker for open world games. Skyrim, Dragon's Dogma, things like that. Games that cause you to just waste your life away exploring a video game world instead of going out and exploring the outdoor world. All jokes aside, when I saw Valhalla played a lot like Odyssey, I was like, alright, I'm going to sink the teeth into this. It looks like it's a pretty good, interesting time period that they chose, because this is the 12th installment, and for the most part, a lot of them had different time periods. This deals with time and, crazy looking assassination kills and weapons and stealth elements and things like that in the past. We've seen all sorts of stuff. Now they're doing Vikings, and I think Vikings are badass. That's why I'm trying to grow a Viking beard. So I was like, alright, you know what? I'm going to give this game a shot and see what's up. So this is basically an ancient Viking era. You play as a character. You could choose this character to be male or female, but the character's backstory is still the same. Their name is Ivor, and basically they're a Viking that they have to lead their fellow Viking clan against the Anglo-Saxons. So it kind of deals with historical events through a fictional story. I don't want to get into the plot too much because there's so much to unpack in it. I'm trying my best to avoid cutscenes that are too spoiler heavy for this review, but I gotta say there were moments in the story where I was kind of smiling and laughing because some characters were really hilarious to interact with, and they had real feel-good backstories. And I gotta say, I've read and heard other people's reviews of this game where they said that it was boring, that they were dying of boredom, that they were not having any fun at all. I tend to not let people's opinions sway my own type of experimentation with no matter what it is, whether it's a movie, food, or video games. Especially if I hear people giving negative reception to something, I have to find out for myself. I personally didn't find this game to be boring at all, but I guess that's because I like open world games that just kind of leave you out there and let you do your own thing. The map of this game is humongous. I still haven't even completed over half of it, and I'm already about 25-30 hours into the game, and the plot has had moments where it gets pretty intense. There's one story arc that involves an unlikely character and his quest to become a king, and you help him out because as you progress through the game, you forge alliances with all the other clans that are around you. And there's some light settlement building too. You get your own settlement. You have to get supplies by going on raids and building up the buildings in order to make your town's level big enough to kind of, I guess, thrive on its own. So the game has kind of a building process that it makes you go out and do raids. Raids are a big part of the game. You can go to any I guess what are they called, these churches, these abbeys. Yeah, that's the word. They're abbeys. They haven't called them abbeys since back in the day, but you go to these abbeys, you basically just kill all the guards, take all the treasure. You have the option, which is different than what I remember in Assassin's Creed games, of going in Rambo style, just raiding in, balls to the wall, killing everybody, or you can go stealthily with your cloak over your head, sneak in and out, and don't really cause a distraction. I prefer to go balls in and cause chaos and burn the buildings and everything like that. But there's so much to do in addition to the raids, because that's just one aspect of it. There's the main story, which is you expanding your Viking clans by making alliances, and there's some swerves and stuff like that. I think the plot is far from boring. It is what you make it with these open world games. You could go right through the main, campaign, just go right through the story and just rush through it, or you can enjoy the little things, go on the raids, do the side quest, go off the beaten path, run into NPCs that have weird and strange things to say. You can go and get all the secret treasures. You can get tons of different armor, because your character is customizable in this game. You could fit out your character with certain armor loadouts, certain weapons. There's not crafting to the extent of like a Skyrim or something like that, which is pretty surprising. I thought there would be a lot of crafting, but you do loot trinkets and stuff that you can sell for silver that goes towards buying stuff. You can get a blacksmith that upgrades your stuff. You're able to add runes to your items, and as you upgrade them, they change their appearance. So you have like bracers, you have boots, you have armor, you have a cloak, and you have a shield and a weapon. You can do one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, and depending on what type of playstyle that you want to play as is what I would recommend your character being. I'm a raven, and even though there's like bear and wolf and stuff like that, the raven seems to be the most, like, I guess, well-balanced type of character style as far as armor goes and stuff like that. So I choose that, and plus it looks pretty cool. But there is customized options. In addition to being able to pick your gender at the beginning of the game, you can choose different tattoos, different hair colors. You can make your character look certain ways. So it's fully customizable. And that's just a small little bit of the pie there. Now, as far as RPGs go, this one isn't like a real in-depth as far as RPGs go. I guess the main thing that makes it RPG-ish is its skill tree and ability system. As you level up, you're able to unlock special abilities that do your melee attacks and your ranged attacks, and these vary from being able to shoot multiple arrows at multiple targets at once, or being able to do a powerful attack that you just kind of like run and jump and slash down, like with the huge strike. You can also track better. You can throw explosive powder. There's all sorts of different stuff that you can use. You can use your raven to explore a little bit or cause a distraction. You have a raven that helps you out. I really don't use that that ability though too much, that game mechanic. I just kind of go out on my own and just do whatever. And you have a mount. You can use a horse, or you can use a boat, a Viking longship, to explore and stuff like that. When you take the boat out, you have your raiders with you. You can raid right off your boat. That's how raids are done. There's also a side story that features a lot of characters from Norse mythology. I don't want to spoil anything. It's kind of interesting and fun to see that. There was a lot of comparisons made to a Vikings Netflix show, as well as other kind of stories from Norway and Norse mythology and stuff. It's really interesting. I like the locality, the time period that they chose. The art style of this game is actually really well done. Looking at the buildings, the towns, the way that people are dressed, the voice acting. Now, this game has had some mixed reception with screen tearing. There's a little bit of it at times, especially when you're moving the camera from left to right. You can see, I guess the graphics get jumbled up a little bit, and I guess the rendering just can't catch up. I haven't felt too many in way of dropped frame rates. I think the game has run consistent, but then again, I wouldn't notice it. I'm still relatively new to modern gaming, but at no time did it feel like for example, Fallout 4 and Skyrim would drop frame rates. I didn't feel a sluggish, slow type of gameplay in this. And then another thing on that, people said there is some glitches. I didn't really experience any that were really groundbreaking. I guess at most the AI in the game, as far as like your allies and the enemies, at times could just be kind of dumb and not responsive. But that comes with the territory of being an open world game. I know it's 2020, so stuff like that is kind of not an excuse at this time. But I don't think it was that bad. Call me easy to please, I guess, as far as the way the graphics look and the frame rate and everything like that. I think the game looks good. It supports 4K Ultra HD, It has HDR capability, and it was optimized for the Xbox Series X. But you can also play this on Xbox One if you get this version. It includes the Series X version for free, so that's why I grabbed it. Now, of course, this is also on the PlayStation 5 if you want to grab that. This is one of the major third-party games that's come out. Honestly, a pretty solid game. If you've played stuff like The Witcher 3 or Skyrim, you'd be able to jump in here like a duck in a pond. The combat is about the same. You have a heavy attack, a light attack. You can dodge and parry, and that'll cause the enemy to get stunned. You can attack them, and there's some pretty brutal animations and stuff like that. So for the most part, I feel that it is a pretty good quality game. But does it feel next gen? I'll go ahead and be honest. As far as a next gen feel goes, maybe not. But I think that's because this is a cross-platform game. It's on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and it's also on the new consoles. So it's a cross-gen game. You can't expect a next-gen feel with something that's cross-gen. So I feel for people to compare it as a next-gen game and say that it doesn't feel, it's kind of a little bit unwarranted. It wasn't touted as a next-gen game. If anything, I would say it's kind of like how Breath of the Wild was on the Wii U and also came out on the Switch. It's a game that's cross-gen. It's the end of a gaming generation and the beginning of one, so it's going to feel like a hybrid of both. And it's not a bad thing. I think for a 2020 entry, this is up there for a Game of the Year contender, honestly. Lots of hours that could be sunk into it, lots of exploration, lots of side quests, a decent combat mechanic, a good story. I don't care if people say that is boring. Honestly, if I was to rate it from 1 to 10, I would say it's at least a minimum 7.5. It's not super fantastic like a 9, but minimum 7.5, maybe an 8, a B, I would say. So I like it. I enjoyed it very much. I mean, I've been streaming it for 9 hours a day, every day for like the past 4 days. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the game. Hopefully I didn't spoil too much with the footage. I didn't want to ruin the story for you guys. I just, took a good peek after I made about like level 74, 73. I'm like about power level 73 right now. Just wanted to show you guys some of the basics of the game so you can get a grip and stuff like that. If you enjoyed the video, guys, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subbed yet, please do so, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot. Consider supporting 8-Bit Eric on Patreon for just $1 a month. Link below in the description. You want to become part of the hashtag 8BE Nation, guys? Well, be sure to pick up your official merch, now available online. Link is below in the description. We got classic t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and even women's apparel. Don't forget, pick up your official merch now. And while you're at it, guys, feel free to watch the next video, or why don't you catch up on one that you might have previously missed. Thanks again, guys, for all the support. I couldn't do this without you. You guys are amazing, and don't forget to subscribe and click that like button if you are brand new. Thanks again, guys. Peace out.